Karanja is one of our entrepreneurs. He's one of our very first entrepreneurs, actually, and he's going to tell us a little bit about his business. I'm going to have a little interview with Karanja. And so maybe Karanja, if you want to pop up on the screen here and tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, your age, your family, etc.
Hi, everyone. My name is Karanja Kiarie. Happy to be here. I am 31 years of age. I have a family, a wife, and 3 children. I run an audiovisual company in Nairobi, Kenya, and I was, as Roland says, I think I was the 3rd person to have been invested by CBA. Yes, and I'm still in existence, which I think is an important thing.
We had a few ups and downs, didn't we?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, maybe you could tell everybody a little bit about your business. What is it that you're doing today, and who are you selling to?
So today I'm selling. I'm producing audiovisual content. So I make videos and sound content for individuals and companies. Right now, we have specialized in audio mixing services. So we mix sound and create music for TV, series, films. And that's probably what we are focused on the most, but we still make videos, we still produce music. So we are basically a recording sound and video recording studio. Yes.
Okay, so but that's not, you started sort of with that, then you went into some other things. Maybe tell us, what was your focus when you first started the business?
When I first started my business, my focus was in music because I'm a musician. So I ran a recording studio. So I used to record people and give them singles. Sometimes I do albums. That's how I started. And then I eventually started to do many other things related to sound. And that's part of how I got into video. I did communication in campus, and we used to create videos. So I used to do a lot of sound in the films we used to do in school. So that's how I got into audio mixing for film.
Now, as I recall, when I read your business plan originally, you were going to go into partnership with music artists, and then they were going to become famous, and you were going to collect 30% of the money or something like this, and life was going to be great. That didn't really work out that way, did it?
No, it didn't work out. One, because audio recording in the country is not as economical as probably audio mixing. People don't invest that much into music recording. So that was one of the big reasons. That's one. Number two, there are not too many people who want to pay for those kind of services because it's a luxury. So people prefer to pay for things they desperately need. Yes. So yes, that was the idea. At the time, I thought I'd be the biggest music producer in Africa at the time. Then life happened, and it didn't work out as planned. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's good that you were able to adjust along the way. Now, you encountered some difficult situations along the way. Can you share a little bit about? I think once you got locked out of your office and everything was confiscated, and maybe the deep point. And what happened there, and how'd you get out of that?
So let me just give the rest some context. So CBA invested about $1 million shillings. That's about $10,000 in the company. So at the time, the idea, because I lacked a lot of equipment, the idea was for me to just get a lot of equipment, and hopefully people will come because I had enough equipment, and I also got a great location, a great space for a recording studio. So that happened. I got a great space. I got a lot of equipment, but I had no business. I had no market. No one was coming. So that just went on, and I couldn't run for too long. I think after about maybe 3-4 months, I couldn't pay my rent anymore, and I had just gotten married. So the pressure was very high as well because I had just gotten a wife. So at some point, we just crashed. We couldn't pay rent. I didn't have business. So yes, as Roland says, our house was locked actually because the studio was in the house. So we were locked out of the house. I had to sleep in my parents' house, I think, for about a week or so as we tried to figure out where we'd get the money to get the house back. So after that, we moved into a smaller house. I moved the studio to a smaller house, to a location that I didn't think was ideal because it was in a more crowded space, and But for some reason, the first month I moved into that new space, I got more business in that first month, more than I had gotten the whole year I had been in the other location. So that was one of the biggest turning points. And it was actually a music recording deal I got just when I moved into that smaller house. Yeah.
Wow. Praise God, that's an awesome story. And I remember I came to your wedding, your marriage, and since then things have been going really well in your family with 3 children now, and
yeah,
Sheila and everybody happy even after moving out of the house and moving back into something else. Now you're
Yeah.
doing something a little bit different. Tell us a little bit about the customers you're selling to now and why would they buy from you?
Okay, so right now I'm doing, I'm still creating music, but I'm creating music for TV. So who am I selling to? I'm selling to production companies that produce TV shows. So I'm currently doing 3 daily shows and 1 weekly show. So who am I? I'm selling to these production companies who are now selling to the TV stations. So for 2 of those shows, we sell to a South African company called DSTV. Probably you guys know it as MultiChoice Africa. So we sell to MultiChoice. MultiChoice demands for content, like the kind of content we produce is a daily show. So I have to produce that. So in that case, it means the demand is high because the show has to be there every single day. And after that, we also produce a weekly show for the company.
Swallow the water.
And sorry, this is my baby. And say hi.
Hello.
Say hi.
Say hi. Say bye.
Yeah. So after that we no. I'm coming. Just give me 1 second. No. So we sell that content to those companies. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. So
great.
that's who I sell to.
So you're making 3 daily shows and a weekly show. So obviously you can't do all that work yourself and have the children and everything. So when you started, you were by yourself, and now tell us who's working with you now.
Yeah. So when I started, I was by myself because at the time I was just doing 1 daily show. So as my portfolio grew, I hired 2 more people. Oh, and by the way, you had asked me about my unique selling point. One of the unique selling points for me personally is that I mix and create music. Most people don't do those 2 at the same time. You have to hire 2 different people to do that. So that's one of the biggest reasons why I'm still doing these shows, and I have gotten these shows from other people. Yeah, so I have 2 staff members who are possibly like my assistants because the workload can be a bit heavy and the schedules as well. Yeah.
Okay.
And we have an office separate from the house.
Okay, right. You're at home now, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So how has the COVID virus affected you? Has that been a bad or a good influence on your business?
The COVID virus didn't affect me. In fact, that is when I got more business. Before COVID, I only had 1 TV show. When COVID started, I actually got all the 3 within about 3 or 2 months. So COVID really didn't affect us. It made us a lot more busier. I don't think COVID has affected our industry much. The only part that has been affected is sometime when COVID began, we had to, the people on set had to stop shooting, but that didn't affect our delivery because we are usually quite far ahead of what the audience is watching. So we just stalled for a few weeks and then got back here.
Okay. And who does the selling? When you find these new customers, how did you find them? Through advertising, word of mouth, marketing?
No, this is actually word of mouth. The 1 show I did really sold me a lot because of the kind of product I was giving them. Again, as I mentioned, I create music and I mix for the show. This in this kind of business, marketing that's not what sells you. It's actually if people know your work is good, if people know you're able to deliver on time, that's pretty much it. It's not marketing. Yeah.
Okay. In contrast to the years where you were locked out and had to move house with your family, now you're being fairly profitable, and you're even talking about buying back the CBA shares. Talk to me about how the profits are looking and what your plans are in terms of buying back the shares.
So we started to make profits, I'd say about end of last year. We started to become very profitable end of last year, especially when the new shows came in. So, and I always had it in my mind that at the point when I got to a point when I could be able to buy back the shares, I'd do that. So that's how that conversation came up. So we are in the process of buying back the shares from CBA. The approach I'd like to get is to actually buy back and give them the exact amount of money they invested in me. I don't want to give them the stake they hold, because I still want CBA to remain in my company as gratitude.
So what do you see as the value in CBA that you want to keep us in the company as investors, rather just not buy us out and send us packing? Certainly my input is not that valuable.
Yeah, no, it's very valuable. Why? Because I really love the accountability one that CBA has with me. That has really helped me, because I know I'm not just in this alone. I can't just do what I want, because I have someone I have to answer to every single month. And then I want this to, I'm just giving back because of the help that CBA has given to me. I should say that I'm really a technical person. I had zero skills in administration, accounting, and all the other parts of running a business. CBA has really helped me with that. So I think I want to continue with that journey with them, so that I can continue learning more. I think I can, because I keep learning more new things and I keep getting better at my craft. Yeah.
Okay, and what do the customers think? Do they know that CBA is involved, and does that impact your ability to sell to them?
Yes, that my customers know that. Now, most of the customers that know this are the ones who, especially, are international customers, because international customers need to know that they can trust you. So one of the ways I do that is by telling them I don't own this company by myself. I have investors from the Netherlands who have invested in my company. So yes, so some of the companies I have worked with actually know that CBA is part of this.
Okay. Cycling back to the very beginning of your company, where you were going to be the hottest music producer in all of Africa, are you still doing some of this music production, or is that completely gone?
It's not completely gone. I'm still doing some of the music production. At where I am right now, I'm trying to make sure that the current jobs we are running are going to continue smoothly, so that I don't focus on music and then end up losing what I already have. So the idea is to just keep growing this audio mixing services sphere, and then when it gets to a certain point where it can run on its own, I can now start to get into other aspects of the business, like music, like recording videos, like documentaries, because those are some of the things that sustained the business before I got into audio mixing. Yeah.
Okay. As a last question, where do you see the company in 5 years in terms of staff and types of customers?
So in 5 years, I see ourselves having established ourselves quite squarely in audio mix, especially. So the kind of, I want to grow my staff. I want to keep getting more and more shows. So the idea right now is to just be so good at delivering and producing extremely good work, so that we can attract the likes of Netflix. I'm actually looking for Netflix, for Amazon Prime, for Showmax. Those are international companies that offer video on demand. And by that time, so in 5 years, I think we'll have already established that. I'll have a staff of probably maybe 10 to 15 people, and I'll have started to focus on other things like music, like documentary filmmaking, and even just general filmmaking, so that I can also be given a job by these big companies as my company.
Okay, excellent. Excellent. Okay, I'd like to open it up to questions. If somebody has any questions or wants any additional insight from Karanja, just speak up, unmute yourself, and just say your name, and go ahead and let Karanja know what you want to know.
Irena, Karanja, I think that is an amazing story, and I would really just like to say bravo. Honestly, I think you have got your head straight. You know, sometimes we think we're going to do one thing, but the way to success is to look at what you've got and what you need to change, and keep progressing. So, and having faith, and really bravo. Well done.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. And she's absolutely right, speaking on behalf of CBA there. Thank you, Irena.
Yeah.
Anybody else with a question or a comment?
Yeah, Karanja, what do you see as the main obstacles for your growth?
Demand, too much work. How do I say that?
Too much.
I think that, yeah, because I think I'm growing quite exponentially. So the one thing I'm fearful about is not being able to handle the work because it's too much. Yeah, probably that's what I feel like would be the biggest obstacle.
And is it difficult to get the right people, the good enough people to hire them to help you?
It's not difficult. The difficult part is training them. The two people I have had to train them for about maybe 8 months before they got to a place where I can comfortably allow them to make something that can be sent to the client. So it takes a long time to be patient with someone and teach them. Yeah.
Okay, very well.
What about the competition, Karanja? Because you mentioned these TV shows you were doing, but TV shows have been around for decades, also
That's
in Kenya. So who did it? How did you get into the game? And don't you feel others trying to crowd you out of this very, very profitable business? How does it work?
So as I said, so I haven't yet, the way I block out competition, or I try to make sure the client doesn't doubt me, is to be as dynamic and as what's the word? I create music very, very often, and I create music that is very specific for TV shows. Most people don't do that. They have libraries that they keep repeating over and over again. So I'm always paying musicians to come over to the studio to create new music for the TV shows. So that's one. And then number two is integrity and just being able to deliver on time, because that's very important in our industry. Yeah. One of the biggest things that has made people lose this job is because you're given a show and you can't deliver within the 6 hours it needs to be delivered. Yeah. So I'm very strict on those two things. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Thanks.
Just a quick one, Karanja. I did watch some of the videos on SoundCloud at the very beginning of your business, and the quality is very good. And
thank you.
Surprisingly so far is your growth is due to word of mouth, as you said. Is there a reason why you've not gone for traditional ways of acquiring other customers, or is it just that demand element that's keeping you still quite nimble?
So it's the kind of business focus I'm in. So what you listened to on SoundCloud, the only way I can grow my marketing base in that is to actually doing the traditional marketing, because that's traditional music recording, that's traditional documentary filmmaking. I don't know whether you went through our YouTube page, but my YouTube page also has samples of documentary work we've done. So that has to be traditional marketing. But for audio mix particularly, that's not how you tell people that you do the work. You send them work that you've done, and they listen to it and they see how good you are, and that's how you get jobs. So I would say the only reason I'm not as focused on traditional marketing at this time in this season is because of what I'm focusing on. So at the time when I'll start to think about growing my documentary work, growing my music recording work, I'll get back to traditional marketing. Yeah.
Congrats. Yeah, very good.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, maybe one more question, otherwise we'll move on. Any other questions?
I think a core mission of CBA is to create meaningful employment.
Yeah.
So you did mention you are looking to bring in more people. It's you need to train them up, which
exactly.
Which is actually a barrier for others to enter the market. So that's good. But do you foresee that in 5 years' time that you may have 10 plus people working with your company, or is your intent to stay the size that you are, like 2-3 people?
No, I don't want to stay 2-3 people because of two things. First of all, when the work increases, I want to grow a bigger team because we cannot handle it unless we are bigger. That's two. And then number two, I feel like one of the missions I have in my career, maybe because of what God has done for me, is to train more people in what I do so that one day they can also be able to create their own company, create their own brand, because that was done to me to make me get to where I am. So I want to give back. So just that only will make me want to have more people I can train so that they can also get to do this on their own. Yeah, so those two reasons. For those two reasons, I don't want to have a small team.
Good. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, Karanja. Thank you for joining us. And it's been a pleasure to work
Thank
with you
you.
all these last years. And I'm glad that we're going to continue to work together for a while, even though you're going to buy out some of our shares, which is a quite reasonable thing to do since we can then invest in other people as well.
Yeah.
So may God bless you in your work and as you grow the company. And don't hesitate to call if you ever have a question.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Karanja.